Disarrange 1775, your number one live talk show.
And we're back.
And we are back. 2 weeks.
And we're back.
How are you, my friend?
Oh, man, I'm doing good. I'm getting over a little bit of a sinus infection.
Okay.
So if I sound froggy or something like that, that's why. Excuse me, just like that.
Well, I believe that the 2 week break was good for both of us. You agree?
Oh, it's great, man.
It felt good.
Although, it was strange and I missed it, and I was definitely ready to go. Definitely ready to go today. So
yeah, so which we will definitely touch on more of that dynamic between Matt and I in the last 2 weeks. Welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us on I believe episode 19 at this 75. Tonight we have a great show planned for everybody. We're going to be talking about the 42 days of the Ukrainian war and the invasion from the Russians. We're also going to be touching on the smack heard around the world with Will Smith and Chris Rock. And then also we're going to wrap it up towards the end with the importance of maintaining a small circle and or network. So we've got a great show planned. Appreciate everybody joining us. I hope everybody's been good. We look forward to communicating with everybody along the way. So let's jump into it.
Let's do it.
So I definitely, pal, I want to I want to just throw out my opinion first off. You and I really haven't sat down and really talked about it, but it's all over the news, right? This is a huge topic, especially for where we are in world history. And I guess the first thing that I would want to say about it is I'm kind of disappointed and upset that it's so publicized. I don't agree with, there's a lot of people making a lot of money off advertisements, and I don't care if they're donating to funds, but war isn't pretty. It's something that it affects so many different levels of human beings and just people in general. Yep. The people that are deployed, the people that are actually in the front lines fighting, and the brothers and sisters that are lost, that are cousins and sons and fathers. And I don't think personally, Matt, you and I had been to a combat zone and actively pursued that career.
Right.
For whatever reason, I don't understand why, but it doesn't sit well with me. And I just don't think, I honestly don't think that it should be publicized.
Yeah. I think for me, part of it, I talked to my brother a lot about it. I probably should pay a little bit more attention to the news. It sets a lot of triggers off with me, especially political stuff. So I tend to kind of shy away from it. But I think for me, it's just, the severity of what's going on, right? And you understand it and how horrible it is, and people's lives are being lost, innocent people, and it's just one of those things. Like, man, you hate to see it broadcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and
every 5 minutes.
And to as I've gotten older, I've always I've been trying to play devil's advocate on everything. I just try to step back, look at it a different perspective. I can see the excitement. Right. I can see the interest in it. There's people out there that have never had the opportunity to serve their country or get training like you and I have, and they've literally spent millions of dollars on us to train us to be war fighters. There's people out there that are good patriots and just good, normal, everyday people that never had that opportunity. So hearing about these things is, I would imagine, there's a sense of fulfillment.
Maybe
not fulfillment. Maybe fulfillment's really not the word, but maybe it's there's a satisfying or
I'll just go off my experience, like in talking to, like I said, talking to my brother, who obviously has no,
Right.
he's never been in the military. Not obviously, because people don't know that, but he's never been in the military, and it bothers him. The stuff he sees bothers him, and
Really?
it affects him. And he talks to me about it, and I bring up the same point that we just talked about. It's like, well, that's why this stuff isn't supposed to be broadcast. It's one of the worst things ever. War is horrible, and especially a situation like this, where I guess if you have a reason or a purpose, or what's going on, and you're looking over there, and you're like, man, what the hell is what's going on? All these innocent people are dying, and cities being destroyed, and families uprooted. A lot of
Well,
women.
the military action that Putin is taking, and speaking on artillery, is shooting artillery shells at structured buildings when knowing that there's, he's a bully. Let's just say it straight up. He's a bully, and I feel for the people of Ukraine.
Right.
I feel like if this was 10 years ago of me getting out of the military and this happened, I think my decision would have been easy to probably go over and do my thing. But,
Yeah. So, I mean, this whole situation stems years back, right? Putin tried to, I think it was 2014.
2014.
Yeah, they had a pro Russia president in Ukraine, and as soon as he was out, Putin took that opportunity to go ahead and try to go in, and even now, obviously their president is not pro Russia. I mean, the guy is fucking steel balls to the wall. And much respect to him, but Putin's demanding that NATO will put in writing that we will never conduct or do any kind of military operations in that part of Europe, right? So, like you said, he's a bully, and you know what? He does it in his own country. It's sad, man. But
let me ask you this, and I heard this. I don't know where I heard it or read it or something, but I heard a rumor that Putin may be sick, and this is the reason why he's kind of acting out, kind of getting like a last stance. What do you feel about that conspiracy or rumor?
I don't know. I mean, I think he's eyed this for a while, and I think this is if putting myself in his shoes as a strategist, this is the perfect time in the world to do this right now. Go ahead.
I agree with that, and I just find it very convenient after the last 2 years of everything that we've gone through as a nation and as a world and as mankind as we know it. It's interesting because all of a sudden he's positioned and he's positioned himself to do this, and it gets very interesting if you want to travel down that road.
This is not something that happens overnight.
No.
In order to survive the amount of sanctions that he is under right now, you have to plan for a very long time.
Yeah, of course.
So
I would imagine he has analysts that would have known that, hey, like when we do this, this is how they're going to react, and we need to respond this way. So I even feel for the Russian people.
It's just bad all around, man. It's bad all around.
I don't think they're communicating properly to them in terms of the mission.
Yeah.
I do want to touch on this, and I want to touch on this last part of this, because I really want to turn our focus into adding our audience in this conversation.
Yep, we got a couple comments already. So
I want to ask about what are the thoughts. Now I know that there was a private there was a private company that came out with satellite imagery of let's say 4 to 5 bodies of laying in the street, and it was a time lapse of when the Russians had already passed through.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you, Matt, and I'm going to ask our audience, what's everybody's opinion? Do you think that the Russians are actually going through raping and pillaging and, committing genocide? Or do you think that the narrative of the Ukrainians and I believe the Chinese is that it's all been provoked by the U.S. and that the Ukrainians are turning on their own people?
Well, here's my stance with that. First of all, with the media in general, and I'll post one of our viewers' statements up, and I totally align with that view. Is we say, where's the truth, right? It's probably lies somewhere in the middle of what's being presented. So you see 4 bodies, and then you see the Russian troops advancing. Everything is put out for a reason, right?
Yeah, I agree.
What I mean? It's so you have to take it at its value, and it's bad all around. You know what I mean? You never know what's really going on. I mean, the people from Ukraine are going to say what their eyewitness accounts are there, and you of course you want to believe them, and then it's just.
Well, we used to, as just as a as media in general, we've always there's a code of ethics amongst journalists.
Yeah,
and it's always to report and tell the truth. And I think that's gotten completely away with social media, viral, and I just think that I can't say majority because I don't know, but I think there's a lot of dishonesty going on along with the reporting of a lot of things that are happening.
Oh yeah, well they look for loopholes, right? It's just like, well, this is how it was presented to us when we were there.
But words are very sneaky.
Yes,
words are very
sneaky. Everything's a loophole. But absolutely, the code of conduct, and dude, that you might as well just roll that up and throw it out the window. That's like us
taking back our oath as Marines and how we're supposed to conduct the mission afterwards. It's just, it doesn't really make too much sense.
Yeah, and I think what you were saying about social media, I think that the down part is that unless you have a sexy voice or a sexy story, your voice is silent. It doesn't get out there. So if you're that reporter or whoever who's speaking the truth or trying to say something, it might not be the clickbait. You know what I mean? There's a million voices out there.
Well, that's the thing. That's likes, views, and overall exposure has outweighed truth. Presenting of the truth, and I don't know, man. I was raised very very differently. I was raised by all women. I feel like I have that, like I have a gut, there's things that happen or I do or whatever. It's just they don't feel right, and I just don't understand. I don't understand the other side.
Yeah, you have to understand. Ultimately, they're telling a story, right? And they're telling a story based on whatever their company's agenda is pushing, whoever's pushing those buttons, right? So I don't, you in any war situation like that, I wouldn't trust anything, any news that's coming out of there, man, because people have no idea what the hell's going on.
Well, let me throw this out there. As your time in the military, how many times, I'm pretty sure you represented this, where the military told you what to say. If you were ever questioned or presented with an opportunity to speak on what you were doing or how you were doing it, you had a piece of paper that you were supposed to know and you were supposed to say. So I'm literally just coming to this realization now on the show. So what makes the difference that's happening on a bigger scale? I mean, it's tough, man.
Well, I know. I was just speaking military wise. I mean, you're not when you're in the military. You're not Andrew Turner or Matthew Gardner.
You're a number.
Yes, you are property of the United States government, right?
Yeah.
So you really don't have an opinion, and you can go ahead and try to exercise it.
But with that being said, Matt, though, did you ever think the opposite of what you were told to say?
Yeah, but I mean,
it was your mission, though, right? Like you wouldn't have wavered from that.
No, not at all.
There was a level of commitment and belief internally, yes or no?
Yes, but I always believed, and you can call me corny or whatever. I always believed it served as a piece to the bigger picture, right?
Right. Well, same here, but that's why I dove into it so hard. You know, and that's why, you know, as we touch on 42 days of war, dude, there's so much emotion on every side of the spectrum that's happening right now over there, and I just really we're gonna keep following along with this and getting updates, but I feel for both sides in terms of the citizens.
Well, I mean, here, you know, you literally have a horrible situation that is that we can't get involved in, right? So the minute NATO steps in, you know, we got WW3. Yes. So literally, this situation is we can help by, I guess, doing the sanctions or giving them food or aid and all that stuff. And so where do we go? You know, we beef up. I know
we're at our lowest. I believe we're at almost one of the lowest counts of military accountability in. I don't want to say.
Well, I know President Obama, when he did the drawdown, when you got out, that was the lowest we were at.
Well, that was the reason I got out. Thank you.
So yeah, I don't know the numbers now. I do know that in Biden's new bill, he has dramatic military increase for spending. So
okay, that's good. I salute him. I'll salute him.
Probably to pay for all that equipment he left in Afghanistan.
I agree with that, but definitely we're gonna. I want to touch on this again. I think this is something we need to just take a look at it weekly and give you guys, our audience, our opinions on what we think is going on and how we think the disarranged way would be to navigate those things. So. If you have any last minute opinions on the Ukrainian 42-day invasion from the Russians, please get your comments in. We would love to hear what you have to say. And
Andrew, there's so many storylines to this. I mean, there's so many storylines to this. There's so much to unwrap. There's children that are displaced in Italy and other countries. I mean, there's just so. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna. I thought you were gonna talk. I thought you were next. You were gonna talk about all the refugees and like all the southern people, like because that's goes right into humanitarian efforts. It's something something really near dear to my heart. Kind of how this show is going to be taking shape and form. I want to definitely talk about it.
I will say as my last point on this, you know, my brother said, I just don't understand why don't they just leave? You know, why? Because they're going to get starved out. They're, you know, he's not going to spend money. He's going to starve them out. I mean, it's an old tactic, right?
Yep.
Cut off all their what am I? Lifelines. You know?
All their logistics. All their.
And I asked him. I said, if someone came here, you know, and started blowing up your town and displaced you and your family out of your home, would you fight for this land? And he's like, well, yeah. I'm like, well, there you go. It's
well put.
You know,
well put. So that's a great note to end on. Moving on, we definitely. I know it's probably a little old. I want to touch on this.
Oh my gosh, man!
I've got something to say, and I think that you and I, Matt, we might have similar views, but I think we also have opposing views.
I think we definitely have opposing views, sir.
Should I? Do you want me to start, or shall you?
Please do. Yes.
You
Please
want me
do.
to go first? All right. Hello, everybody. I would love to talk about Will Smith smacking the shit out of Chris Rock. First off, let me just say that Chris Rock, I have nothing. I have no ill will towards you. I think you're funny. I like what you've done with your career, and it's awesome. So thank you for being a staple in my life as I'm growing up. However, I want to just – everyone knows what happened. I'm not going to touch on that. I want to just touch on the fact that here is what my bigger picture is. I think touching back onto media and how social media portrays things and people look at things, and I love the fact that somebody talked shit and got smacked for it. Hold on. I think the overall message, yes. Is he a comedian? Yes. Is it part of the gig? Yes. Could it have been handled differently? Absolutely. But let's look at the bigger picture here. Will Smith has been dragged through the mud for 2 years. His wife's running around Hollywood doing her thing. Kids, very questionable. What the hell's going on? What's going on there? Will Smith is going through some shit. Philly got up there and Philly laid down the smack. And dude, when he turned around and went like this, I salute you, Will Smith.
Okay.
If all your friends leave you, you got a friend in me, man. I appreciate all you did for me growing up. And I stand by you, and I stand by your smack. End of story.
Yeah, so let me go ahead and Hiroshima and Nagasaki that
Brother, I've got nothing but ammo to go.
Okay. First of all, I want to make this point. If The Rock was up there and The Rock said that, I guarantee you Will Smith's ass would have stayed in that seat.
Okay, pause. Okay, give me the hold on. Give me a second so we don't get. Give me a second to respond to that.
Okay, that's my first point. So
I disagree with that.
So you think he'd walk his ass up there and smack The Rock?
I disagree with that for one thing. If you know anything about The Rock, okay, The Rock told a story years ago about how he grew up in an abusive home.
Okay,
his father was very abusive towards his mother, and I believe I'm getting this correct.
Okay,
and one day, then got to put his hands on him. After all these years, he wanted to put his hands on me. He knew that's what he wanted to do. And he said, as soon as I did it, I didn't feel good. I think The Rock's reaction would have been the same because it was on the world stage.
No. You're missing what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I think Will Smith still would have done
saying that. So
yes.
I think that Will Smith would have walked up there and smacked The Rock in the face.
Yes.
You need to be tested.
Dude.
Okay, so listen,
this guy has been compared to Tupac his entire life.
I get it.
He's never had that thug life moment.
Here's my issue. I have a couple issues. Let me
go for it. I want to hear it.
First of all, he's not thug life. All right, he's worth like $600 million. All right, and the stuff that's going on in his home.
You can't say that because Jada's always compared him to a thug.
But Will Smith's problems are Will Smith's problems. Because he chooses to stay there. He chooses that though. Okay. And listen, if you're on that stage, if you're on that stage and your wife is sleeping with your son's friend and then drags you on a TV show to then sit there and tell you to your face, as she told him, I just wanted to feel good. And you choose to stay, brother. I don't have.
What is marriage? What is marriage? What is the idea of marriage?
Listen. We can argue. I'm just saying. Okay, we can argue that point all day, but it's going to be talked about. And secondly, the what's her name? The blonde that hosted it, Amy Schumer.
Yeah, okay.
She made a joke like 15 minutes before that about like Will Smith's best acting job this year was pretending like he was okay with all of his wife's girlfriends.
I didn't see that.
And he's laughing. And second of all, when Chris Rock told the joke, he was laughing.
Brother, if you were with your wife somewhere, and regardless if you thought it was funny, as a man that you're married to somebody and committed to, regardless of the history, and she looked at you and gave you that look that she was uncomfortable, would you or would you not react?
Not if I'm at the Oscars.
Okay, dude, you're dude, what are the Oscars really?
So
Oscars
you're gonna
are
smack?
the
you're gonna
Oscars are literally a bunch of
Okay, so
celebrities giving celebrities.
Let's talk about what he made a joke. So he didn't make a joke about Will Smith being a cuck because everybody in the freaking world's sleeping with his wife.
I think
right?
that would have been better. The fact is, her condition, it's alopecia. Am I correct with that?
Alopecia. That's correct.
That was like it's hot news, right? They make, like, I'm saying that if anything, we have to come to a common ground. I think that there is a line that could be walked, but I think it's very, very gray.
Listen, the whole thing was bizarre, okay, because
I loved it.
No,
it happened on the world stage, and it happened amongst people that we think, as you and I, civilians, and everybody else watching, that are perfect. Everyone thinks these people are.
Well, no, I mean,
God to earth, and the fact is, there's emotion involved. They're real.
I think,
and the fact is that smack really do.
I think that totally
everybody
how freaking weird Hollywood is, because they all gave him a standing ovation after he smacked the shit out of him.
They were scared that they were going to get smacked.
Oh my! From Will Smith,
bro. Did you see their reaction from a smack?
Oh,
and do you think what are their? I would love to see. There's a thing on social media that shows like 15 or 16 celebrities.
Yeah.
Of their reaction of the slap. What are their reactions of the war imagery going on and CNN?
Okay, so why did they give him a standing? Why did they give him a standing?
Respect. Absolutely. Yo, Big Willie style.
Oh my god.
Cop the album. Absolutely. That's why they gave him a standing ovation. The guy's been through shit. He got up there.
So what? So is everybody else. I can't go out and fucking smack somebody just because I'm going through shit. I'll go to jail.
Yep. Well, he could. Dude, he would have taken down the L. He's from Philly. People forget that, dude. He's from Philly. He's from the land of the cheesesteaks, bro.
Listen, pal. The whole thing is absolutely asinine. Absolutely asinine.
Got it.
And you know what? At the end of the day,
all right. Let me make the last point on this.
I'm going to say something after you do.
Okay, but let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
If that was me, and somebody came at me crooked and I didn't respond, what would you do to me? Would you verbally assault me, Matthew? Be honest with me.
Say that again, because I'm
asking you if I was in that situation and someone said something, say to about Courtney, and I didn't react like that, you would give me shit for it. If she was that uncomfortable, right, and she was being laughed at, would you not expect me to go out there and just drop bodies?
I don't know, maybe you, but dude, listen, it doesn't make it right. I'm not saying the joke. I'm not saying the joke was right. I don't know. I don't know. They said that Chris Rock didn't know she had. I thought it was like a softball joke, if anything. You know, I mean,
I personally thought it was well played.
I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I think it was ridiculous. But I mean, it is what it is.
We'll follow up with it.
It is what it is. You know, at the end of the day, Will Smith still has to go home to his problems, right? So it really didn't change anything. So
we all do. What does everybody out there think? We're gonna look at the comments here, and I know everyone's probably tired of hearing about. Oh, I do. I already just saw her name. I'm also throw it up here. I don't even know what it says. Standing ovation for waiting years to earn an Oscar. Terrible timing. He would have gotten a standing O if the smack didn't happen. So
yeah, no, I agree with that. He should get a standing ovation for his acting job. But he assaulted somebody on live TV.
Oh my god, dude!
He assaulted somebody.
Smack. It's a smack.
Okay, it's assault. It's assault.
Assault, dude.
If you did that, Turner, you would get arrested. That's aggravated assault. That's aggravated assault.
Did the person deserve it?
Huh?
Did the person deserve it?
Oh my gosh.
Dude, listen, I'm telling you.
You're like talking to a 13-year-old kid in high school.
Dude, listen, all right.
Okay, how many times you should get smacked every 5 minutes then?
I'm having fun. I may be being a little extreme, but I'm just saying,
Yes.
like, I think that if you say something,
I get it. I get your side of it.
that's where I'm coming from. So yes, I'm having fun.
Okay.
All right. So you want to move on from this one because I think it's going to be brought up again because I don't think we've heard the end of this.
Well, no, I mean it's unfortunate because I think it's unfortunate because a lot of people didn't get their moment. Yeah, and you know what? And
Touché.
The Williams family, their whole story kind of got lost in all that, and they were obviously honored because Will Smith portrayed their father and King Richard, and it's just
yeah. All right, listen. All right, I'll give you that. I think that isn't. People should have their moment, especially with as much time and effort these people put into their careers and their talents and their art. To have that ripped away by a smack, okay.
Dude.
Shout out Will Smith. Anyway, moving on.
Such a meathead, man.
So I felt it was time, not time, but I felt like this was a good opportunity to kind of talk about the last couple of weeks. We took some time off. There's been some changes, both with us personally and reevaluating where the show is at, and sticking to our original plan is to always sit down, reevaluate, and move forward. It's never not about moving forward. It's just about making things better than what they are and sticking to our true core of what we're here to do is to provide value. And so about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I lost my job. It was an unfortunate situation. I won't get into details, but it was just kind of shitty. It rocked my world. I was obviously hoping on a financial situation to happen to where I would have been positioned to be able to do things that I've been really, really needing to do the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah.
And it really knocked me off my course. I needed a break. And so with this segment, I wanted to talk about maintaining a small circle and its importance. I always thought in life that you needed to have so many people in your circle or in your network to be happy, and the more the merrier. And the older that I've gotten, having a smaller circle, and I know we've touched on this before, it actually provides more value than any amount of people would ever. Quality over quantity is another way you could look at it. But I wanted to also just live in front of everybody thank you, Matt, for the last 2 weeks of kind of being that battle buddy for me. As Marines, we have unique ways of handling our stress and our vulnerabilities, if you will, especially being as civilians. Things are a little bit different. No matter how long you were a Marine, or how long you were a civilian before you were a Marine, it's a unique lifestyle. It's a unique area to be in, if you will. So Matthew, for the last 2 weeks, noticed things wrong. I've even had people reach out from the show. I've just had a lot on my chest, a lot on my mind, and took the last week off to kind of get out of Dodge, go collect myself. But the importance of being able to have someone like Matt for me is hands down the last 19, 20 weeks of us doing this. I couldn't have done it without you, buddy. And I appreciate you. And I know you've got all your shit going on in your life, and you aggressively took time out of your day to check on me. And I want to thank you very, very much.
No, dude, of course. I know you have, and you would do the same. So, it's when you go through something like that, it's hard because, I know you, and you can know somebody, or you have friendship with somebody, but you still want to respect that personal space.
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? And everybody, like you said, everybody deals with stuff differently. And, but at the same time, I felt like I knew when I needed to get a Roger up from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like, dude, it's what you have to do as a friend. It's what you have to do, you know?
Well, I appreciate the consistency mostly. And I remember kind of like I'll say like 4 or 5 days ago, I remember thinking that I burnt a lot of wood. I chopped a lot of wood. It was good. Still a little sore, not gonna lie.
Yeah,
But I was sitting there one night and I was like, that's what it's about, man. Like, I was almost getting defensive because I was like, dude, the last 10, 11 years, I've spent 98% of the time in the dark when it comes to like dealing with things. I just hunker down, I go through it, I dance with the devil, and I've made it out.
Right.
And so I'm like, dude, this is what I need to do. But again, like, as much as I was kind of pushing the communication away as like a defense mechanism, because as humans, we go towards things that we know, and we go towards things that make us feel good.
Sure.
And if I feel that I know how to react to things, and shutting down is the way I need to react about it, it's going to feel good to me.
Yep.
So I'm going to push any outside source or resource coming towards me away. And the more that I kept pushing away, I kept trying to analyze, like, why am I doing that? I can't keep continuously doing that if I want to progress, right? And that's where I kind of came up with this segment in terms of how important it is to lean into that and be able to respond openly with somebody. So when I ended up reaching out, and I did appreciate it. I do appreciate it. And it's just a transition for me from going from, say 10 years of being by myself with everything that I've dealt with. I've always had people there, but you know how it is. You shut down, you're a fucking Marine, you do it. You get it done. And so now reverting back into this, and so I don't know, not to get too crazy and emotional about it, but I appreciate it.
No, yeah. And I think it's important to note that the response, like, I wasn't looking for you to have a 4-hour conversation. It's just, hey, I'm good. And I know
I have to explain myself because I'm a deep person.
Yeah, I understand that. And I know that you're not good. I know you're dealing with shit, but like you said, everybody that walks through life every day, it's extremely hard, and you deal with things, and you have, like you said, when you deal with situations like that are traumatic and life altering, you have to reset mentally and emotionally and deal with all the emotions, and then clear your mind, and then say, okay, what's next? What are we doing now? Right. And I think that's, like I told you after a while, it's like, hey man, I get the emotions behind it, and I understand, but at some point we need to get out of bed and put the boots on and start walking again, and a lot of times we won't tell ourselves that, you know what I mean? And
no,
so
it's too comfortable not to, right? We don't want to have those uncomfortable conversations with ourselves, right?
And doesn't it feel, and it feels good once you start, moving.
Yeah, and that's why I really do. I wanted to bring it up tonight, and I wanted to be a little bit vulnerable and talk and let our audience know, because I know we have a lot of us out there. Dude, you gotta put a little bit of trust into your circle that's around you. It's time for a lot of us out there to put more focus into those type of people around us in a positive light, instead of trying to fulfill with abundance. I don't think that's the answer.
Well, I had that in my mind, Andrew, and I also had in my mind that if I'm the co-host for this show, which represents checking on a buddy, and I wasn't checking on you, then it would kind of be,
Hypocritical.
pretty no, man. I it's just, I don't have a ton of friends, and you know me, I'm not a social person.
Yeah.
I've talked about it before on the show. It takes an act of God to get me out of the house,
Yeah.
especially on the weekdays.
Yeah.
That's just how I am. But the few people that I have in my life, um, I will step out of my comfort zone, to stay connected with them. Because I tell you, man, a lot of times I don't even want to communicate. Like,
Yeah.
but
I
I'm doing it because I know this is what has to be done, and this is what friendship's about, and this is what accountability is about, and
What's the right thing?
it's the right thing.
Boil down to and I
Well,
guess
and
part of
I
the
love you too, and I care about you, so
yeah.
that's part of it. But it's just in the bigger picture. If you have somebody out there, and they're going through stuff like that, it's um
A little buddy check goes a long way.
long way, man.
A
Because
little yeah.
you don't know at what point of the day or at what moment of them dealing with their issues, that text or that phone call is going to come through, and it might change or alter their thinking and their decision making from there on forward.
Well, just knowing somebody, at least one person, like doesn't have to relate with you, but says, "Hey, dude, I'm thinking of you, and I care about where you're emotionally at."
Yeah.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
My family laughs at me because when I drive, I wave at everybody. Everybody. And dude, it's like without fail, it's muscle memory now, you know? Um, but I often thought, like, you see people walking down the road, you have no idea what they're dealing with, right?
No, a
You know
smile
what I mean?
can go a long way.
Yeah, you see a guy in a car smiling and waving to you, and maybe that's the little bit of faith in humanity that you needed to say, "All right,"
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I'm overly aggressive with talking to people. I'll admit it. I was in yesterday. I took a week
No.
off. I took a week off. I went to North Carolina. I want to give a shout out to my big man Bryson.
Big
Uh,
Bryce.
yeah, and my mom, my sister, everybody down there. We had a great time. But we're at a store, and I'm picking up something, and I walked to the wrong register because I saw this old salty tattoo on the arm, and I just saw US,
There it is.
and I was like, all right, well, it's intrigued me enough to figure out what
Right.
type of tattoo this is. So I legitimately, I set the bag, like a 50-pound bag of seed down, and I uncomfortably went around the look.
Try not to be suspicious.
Yeah, and the guy looks over at me, and I looked up at him, and it was USMC, and it was right on the forearm. It was old, dude, faded.
Yep.
And I looked at him, and I was like, salty ass tattoo, devil dog. And he just looks at me and he goes, "Thanks a lot, Marine." He goes, dude, I just had a great conversation with the guy, but I also overstepped my
Yeah, you might have shattered some personal boundaries or space.
I have not with this guy. This guy and I became boys,
Yeah.
but it was just because we were in the country. But yeah, no, I have. Sometimes people look at me a little weird when I.
Yeah, and man, I think what this range is all about is, every time I go to the VA, I think about, and this is just speaking um, strictly to veterans. I think
Mhm.
about all the veterans out there that, came from broke. I mean, everybody joins the military for different reasons, but more times than not, it's not because your life is peachy keen, right? Like there's a lot of kids come from broken homes, or and then when they leave, what do they go home to, you know and that's why we started Disarrange, is that displacement. And so every time I go to the VA, and I see, you can just see it on vets faces, man. They're going through it,
Mhm.
and I'll sit down with them and just tell them, hey man, you got a brother that appreciates what you did. Someone's thinking about you. Someone appreciates you.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about. Is getting that network going. Because it's tough, man. I mean, it's tough. You can see the pain in a lot of their eyes, and a lot of that they didn't sign up for. You know, it was a byproduct of.
None of us knew the only repercussions I feel that any veteran joining it, especially when we joined at a time of war, knew that their life could very well be on the line. Other than that, I don't think there was anything. It was either I'm going to live or I'm going to die, depending on obviously your MOS and what your involvement was in the big blue arrow, if you will.
Right.
I've been asked through people that I've had good conversation with and kind of know who I am a little bit, and they asked me, with all the things that you know now and in the experience, would you still do it again? To go back to why we're talking about to maintain a small circle and its importance, dude, I don't know if I would have ever found the circle that I needed in life without the Marine Corps.
There's truly nothing like it. It's I saw one of our family members on here, disarranged family members, Cody Baird. He had a post up. About, he saw one of his buddies he went to Afghanistan with. He hasn't seen him in almost 14 years. Almost like that same situation we had, when I met you for the birthday.
Yeah.
And he said, man, it's like we just restarted our conversation that we ended. Like there was no time that lapsed. You know what I mean?
No, there's nothing. Timeless.
It's a bond that I think if you're in sports, yeah, but there's an intimacy that's involved when you are entrusting another human being with your life. And
I agree with that, man. It's very poetic. It's very deep.
And when you go through some of your worst moments, physically, mentally, and emotionally with those people, and you make it out the other end, there's connections there that can never be broken, so, and no one knows but the people that were there. No one knows how that feels, so.
Well, I think I agree that I always feel that it's kind of, I think traditionally when it comes to servicemen and women, especially in times of war, as much as it's not talked about, things aren't talked about. I think it's part of our mission here at Disarranged to, we necessarily don't have to talk about a lot of the things, but I think it's our duty to also help people understand.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also our duty as veterans to be able to try to connect with the civilian side. So one, not only can we learn more about what they were going through while we were going through what we were, I think it just opens up a broader range of acceptance between people. And I hope one day, Matt, that you and I are the founding fathers of that movement in terms of it taking off, because I don't. Together we are a nation, and together we all have to fight together. Whether it's the people that are back here keeping the economy going while there's bullets flying downrange, right, or if there's men and women that are joining and leaving their families to create a better environment. Because at the end of the day, one thing that I was told before I joined was you're going to meet so many different people of walks of life in the military. And one thing that I have to add to that is that with as different and as many walks of life, there is one common factor amongst all of us. And understanding that and getting to know that and sitting down with somebody, you can find that one common piece that made you join, that made you connect in this universe and this whole experience. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and yes, I absolutely love that, and and like I said, the VA point, when I was talking about, we in the future are going to get our hands dirty in getting involved with vets and stuff. There's nothing that, and I'm just speaking on vets. I don't want people to think that we're forgetting about everybody as a whole, but just speaking as a veteran, when I see a veteran that is homeless or suffers from suffers from PTSD, and you know, his family couldn't take it, and you know, they left, and he has nothing. He doesn't have his buddy's phone numbers. You know, he has nothing, and again, he didn't sign up for that. He or she, I'm sorry, didn't sign up for that, and you know, and here they are now dealing with all that, and it's our job now at this point to get them back in that circle.
All we have to do is a network. From day one, we've wanted to build our community amongst our audience, and we can't do that without you guys. Honestly, all we have to do is shed light on situations, bring awareness to it, and move forward with our missions that we have already established. And I'm very excited. And I think the last thing I'd like to say about, again, maintaining. I think the biggest word is maintaining, because it's easy for us to shut down as humans. It's easy for us to get overwhelmed. And again, it's easy for us not to communicate.
Oh, yeah.
And the only reason, not the only reason, one of the largest reasons the Marine Corps is so effective in what it does is because it shoots, moves, and communicates. I've said that. I said that as I was getting fired, I believe. Because communication is big. Communication is big. If I'm moving one way and I don't communicate to you, I'm moving, you're not going to understand it.
Yeah.
It all boils down to communication.
Yep.
So that's going to be our mission, man. We're going to keep moving forward, and we're going to shoot, move, and communicate, and we're going to try to shed light on those areas that need to be lit up.
Yep. Yes, sir. Well said.
Yeah, man. So what do you think, pal? You think we knocked it out of the park this week?
Yeah, man, I'm happy, and I do want to say that I am so grateful and so appreciative to all of you for coming back after the break, and
great turnout. Hands down, this is awesome. Yeah. We've had a great audience. Thank you very much. It's awesome. It's so cool, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. We love you guys, and we are working all the time in conversation and planning
to make this better,
to make this work and grow this thing, and we believe in it wholeheartedly. So, and we appreciate that you share that vision, and you're here with us every week. So,
well, with that being said, listen, our Disarranged family, thank you very much. My name is Andrew. This is Matthew, and we are Disarranged 1775. And until next week, we'll see you then. Take care, everybody.
Have a good week.
Welcome to Disarranged 1775, your #1 live talk show.